My name is Katie Moseley. I live in Colorado. My family law case is 2019-DR 1246. I'm placing on record that my parental rights have been unlawfully withheld. These are fundamental liberties protected by the U.S. Constitution. These rights are guaranteed under the 1st, 5th, 9th, and 14th Amendment. I know this because I taught it as a public school teacher. The government may not interfere with a parent's rights to care, custody, and companionship of their children. I was coerced to not disclose domestic violence when I filed for separation and for divorce, and during the ongoing litigation that has lasted 5.5 years, resulting in full custody being granted to the abuser, along with full medical, educational, spiritual decision-making, everything across the board, putting me on supervision, thereby penalizing me for reporting child abuse. Darvo tactics have been used every step along the way. There have been multiple parties that have contributed to this, including judges, magistrates, court officials, crisis centers, local school, play therapists, across the board. People that I had worked with as someone who served in various systems of education throughout my life, including postgraduate school and counseling. These violations began when my ex-husband pulled our children out of a charter school that I was employed at, and they had been on the wait list for 6 months. Instead of holding him accountable for sabotaging our children's education by employment and putting them at risk for delinquency for tardies, I was held in contempt for putting them back in school, a decision that defies all logic. The most serious of my violation of my rights of me and my children was after I filed a TPO from the local domestic violence shelter. I was not granted a permanent protection order despite meeting everything on the wheel and in the statutes and Caden's law being enacted in Colorado. This put us in further danger. None of the retaliatory measures by my ex-spouse were acknowledged in court. They even used my PTSD diagnosis from current domestic violence against me, mischaracterizing diagnoses, causes, symptoms, things that my doctor testified to clarify that their story was inaccurate. When reporting a head injury that occurred in October of 2024 on my oldest daughter while under the care of father, and the forged signature of me by his girlfriend, I was retaliated against again, despite the fact that doctors recommended she got an MRI and had fluid behind her eardrums and very serious concussion symptoms. These were covered up. Again, I was framed in court. Even when the family therapist supported me, the pediatric chiropractor of 10 years supported me, and a deputy who was on the scene identified it as classic domestic violence, where clearly the mother and the children were the victims. And the father was exerting classic signs of coercive control and DV. I was put on supervised parenting, in which father began to immediately deny, resulting in 9 months of no contact with my daughters. Not even a phone call. Various other supervised parenting facilities have been used to contrived statements that do not reflect the full and actual occurrence of efforts made and counter efforts of father. This has continued to him filing a TPO on me, calling my request to see the children or request to be informed about their medical care as harassment, in which he got granted a permanent protection order, in which he is now threatening to send me to jail for asking the condition of our youngest child, who has had pneumonia for 4 months and was documented to have been given mouth-to-mouth resuscitation and not taken to the ER. These are all very serious child abuse and neglect concerns, in which law enforcement told me that I am on a callback only list and that father does not have to, quote, not have to follow the orders. Yet, family court will not grant my motions about concerns of these events, including having a international passport issued in which he would have needed my signature for, puts us in a situation where a child abduction prevention petition would have been appropriate. All of my credentials as a certified teacher, first aid, CPR, mandated reporter, postgraduate studies and counseling, leader of a conscious natural parenting group, all of my community testimonies, nothing has been taken into consideration. What is written in documents is falsified and twisted to the point where it is not true. It is carried out under color of law, and is extreme federal violation. Additional violations in my case were using my social media posts that's to expose family court corruption against me, as well as using some of my posts and promotional material for my memoir about breaking the cycle of violence and abuse that I wrote before I entered the family court system and did not know what we had in store. Simply wrote it as a healed person, living a healthy lifestyle with my daughters. Those promotional materials about the reality of violence experienced by father and what I did to break that were used as some twisted and flipped as if somehow I was the aggressor in my own memoir, violating clearly my First Amendment rights of freedom of speech. I would like to list some of the judicial officials that are breaking the law in Colorado. In the 1st Judicial District in Jefferson County, there is District Chief Judge Jeffrey Pelican, Judge Randall C. Arp, Judge Chantel Contiglia, Judge Philip McNulty, Magistrate Carrie Kohler, Magistrate Elizabeth Upton, Magistrate Blair McCarthy, Magistrate Joel Schaefer, Magistrate Hameen Albicio, and most recently, Magistrate Bryce David Allen. The court officials that have contributed to this problem are CFI Susan Vanderborough, Beth Anderson Law Firm, Grant Bursick Law Firm, Daniel Westhoff Law Firm, Jordan Smith, a private investigator with Hyperion Investigation, Porchlight, a family justice center that did not disclose to me the retaliatory nature that occurs statistically when women file TPOs against their abuser, Span Safe House, Progressive Alliance for Nonviolence, who turned me down because this was post-separation abuse, into Colorado Supervised Parenting, Danielle Martinelli, and Stephen Kingsford, and Rochelle Vigil. Colorado Crisis Center, under the All Health Network Santa Fe House in Littleton, Rachel Haar, who is an LCSW, Brittany Henry, who is an LCSW. Jefferson County Sheriff's Department Investigator Matt Clark, sometimes goes by the name of Paul Clark, Investigator Baca, Deputy Rosales, Deputy Peterson, number 1647, Dispatch Diana, number 1460. The school district mental health professionals and medical professionals that have contributed to this issue are Parkview Pediatrics Director Lindsay Lowther, Children's Hospital Ryan Caltagroni, MD, who mischaracterized the event of the head injury that had not been disclosed by father, and so we weren't sure what was wrong and why her mood was fluctuating. Turns out they were concussion symptoms. He did not thoroughly investigate this, only took father's words to block me and my daughter from reporting what had actually occurred. Conifer Play Therapy, Lauren Ferguson, LMFT, Children's Trauma Center, former FBI child abuse director of some sort, Karen Blackwell, LCSW, has opened a center and is employing underqualified counseling peoples, Jillian Lightheart, Kiana Lowe, and Erica Hebert being the most recent ones, refusing to disclose if my daughter has been seen there despite court orders to inform me of basic information. Jeffco School District West Jefferson Elementary Principal Darby Brady and legal counsel for the district, Julie Tollinson. Evergreen Pediatrics, Dr. Kudalek, Emily Fay, and secretarial staff. DORA, the Colorado Department of Regulatory Agencies, and the Family First Network in Colorado, Family First Prevention Services Act, targeting at-risk families, are all guilty of collusion and corruption in my case. Thank you.